Why intelligent man can't find the right girlfriend or life partner. If you're a man with a successful career or business, but you haven't been able to find the right one yet, then this video is for you. Today we're going to be speaking about 4 points that are currently stopping you from finding the right one. And the first one is you're too logical. You're approaching this whole dating and social thing in a way that's very German of you, to be honest. It's quite structured, quite logical. And being logical and structured in your business, being logical and structured in your job makes perfect sense. It's the only way to operate efficiently in the workplace. It makes sense that if you're dealing with your employees, your clients, or your managers, if you're trying to debug a code of Java, a piece of JavaScript, or Ruby on Rails as a computer scientist, you have to be logical. It's the only way to be efficient in your workplace. But the problem is, if you're doing that for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and then it's a Friday evening, and you're on a date with a woman who expects positive emotions from you, and you're super logical and stuck in your own head, it's not going to go well for you. Think about this. You're at a meeting at work, be it with business partners or your managers or whoever, right? Before you open your mouth, you think twice about what you're going to say, don't you? You don't want to piss people off. You don't want people to think poorly of you. You want to give quite a concise answer. You want to have a solid contribution to the discussion at hand. So you're not just going to blurb out something. You're just going to say the first thing that comes to your mind. You're going to be quite critical of what you allow to pass out of your mouth, don't you? Yeah, obviously. Because if you were to just say the first random thing that comes to your mind, you'd probably get fired. Or at least your reputation would be sufficiently damaged. Now, what happens when you're on a date with a woman that you're physically attracted to, who's intelligent, and who also has a great personality, and you say the first things that come to your mind without filtering? It's actually going to go very, very well for you. It's going to be much more, this strategy of filtering what you're about to say in a professional context is great within that context. Filtering yourself and thinking that you have to have this one perfect thing to say before you're allowed to say it is going to cause a disaster in your dating and your social life. Why? Because if you're sitting on the date and she sees that you're all caught up in your head and she realizes that you have such an enormous amount of stress and tension going on inside of you, then she's going to perceive you as needy. And you're not going to be able to build attraction. She's not going to be able to feel comfortable with you. You're not going to be able to think on your feet. You're not going to be able to make her laugh. You're not going to be able to create the necessary amount of emotion in her, or rather quality of emotion, to make her feel and keep her attracted to you. So, being logical in your job and your business is amazing, but you got to learn to switch that off once you go on a date. The second you enter the social context, you are allowed to voice politically incorrect opinions. I mean, even if it's your own business, you're probably not going to have the most intimate discussions about your political and your religious views with your employees, right? If you're a manager in a company and you're speaking to your manager, yes, there's a certain level of closeness and intimacy, but you're not going to be as open as you could or should on a date. If you're just looking to have sex with as many women as possible, you should not talk about religion and politics on the first date. Now again, my clients, they come to me because they want to learn how they can find somebody who can become their wife, a life partner. I'm not a pickup artist. I'm not here to teach you how to have sex with as many women as possible. That's not the end game. Yes, dating is a process, and you'll have some amazing experiences if you decide to figure this thing out and to commit to the process of dating and finding someone. But the end goal is a life partner who has similar values to yours, whose personality is compatible with yours. So when you're on the date, be much less filtered. Be much more honest. Stop this critical thinking. Now, if I say that, there's going to be a part in you that says, well, if I do a personality test, maybe thinking critically and judging is actually a big part of my personality. Maybe it is. Probably it is. Most of my clients are introverts. Most of them are shy by nature. And you're going to say, David, I can't just stop being critical. Right? I train it. I've trained it for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years of my life. Right? It's helping me very well in my job, and I'm training it every week, 40, 50, 60 hours per week. I can't just switch it off. Well, it is possible. It's possible to learn to become less critical and a much bigger fan of yourself. You have to learn to live in a protagonistic relationship with yourself. You have to become your own best friend, and you have to give yourself permission that it's okay. You have to give yourself permission to be more free in your expression, knowing that that's what's effective. Okay? In martial arts, let me give you an example from martial arts. See, I used to train all kinds of martial arts: judo, boxing, kickboxing, karate. And there's certain techniques that may seem strange if somebody comes and, I don't know, somebody kicks you. And there's different ways to defend against a kick. A very easy one is to step back, or to pull your knee and your elbow up, or even to deflect the kick. There's different ones. Now, imagine somebody's trying to kick me from the front, and then what I do is I try to elbow somebody behind me, even though there's nobody there. I know it seems ridiculous, and it seems like it's completely out of context, but a reverse elbow is a super powerful technique, but not if somebody's trying to kick me from the front. I know it's so ludicrous that it doesn't even make sense, but it's exactly the same thing. Well, it mightn't be the best analogy, but one thing, something that makes sense in one context doesn't necessarily make sense in a different context. A reverse elbow, a reverse spinning elbow is a beautiful and powerful technique, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense if somebody's trying to kick me. And the exact same thing applies here. Being logical and structured in your thinking is amazing in your professional and business life, but you can learn to become more fun and less critical of yourself and less logical and more spontaneous in your social and your dating life. That is point number one. Point number two, you think you have to have everything figured out before you start. Men who are quite logical, they like to think every little detail through in depth. What's the best thing? What's the one thing that I'm going to say to her that's going to make her want to be in a relationship with her? What do I have to do here? What do I have to do there? And I have a bit of a differentiated opinion on the subject of having to have everything figured out. Yes, you have to have a plan. The reason I have a coaching program, a system, the reason under my logo, David Meessen, it says coaching and consulting. The consulting part is a system. It has to be there, I agree. You have to have a plan. And you may have never had an expertise in the area of dating. You might be saying, if you've been divorced already, you might be saying, oh, I need to get back out there, and my confidence was a lot higher back in the day. Yes, maybe it was higher, but I'd sincerely question the dating skills you've had back in the day. Because if you actually had amazing communication skills, if you truly understood the social dynamics between men and women and the psychology behind it, you would have never gotten in the relationship that you were in. I was married to a person who wasn't right for me. Now, I could have said, oh, I just need to get back out there. But to be honest, I've never been fully in it. I've never had the clarity in terms of what I really want from a partner. I never understood the dynamics. I never understood attraction building principles. I never mastered communication in the area of dating. You may be excellent at communicating in your professional environment. You may be excellent in your job as a software engineer or a business owner or a manager. You may be excellent within the field of communication that's context dependent. That's your job. Great. But the dating context is completely different, and that's why having a plan is absolutely right. That's why I have a system that I've been teaching to men from 18 different countries. I've helped clients from 18 different countries find the right girlfriend and life partner. So having a system, having a systematic plan that explains every single thing you need to do over the course of the interaction to you and leaves 0 question marks open makes perfect sense. But also, waiting to have the perfect plan until you take action isn't necessarily going to work, because there's 2 types of momentum. There's action-taking momentum and not action-taking momentum. I know it sounds crazy, but not taking action is not just the absence of action. It's really important for you to understand. The second I don't act towards a goal, the second I don't figure out the dating apps, the second I procrastinate on getting out there and meeting women in real life, using all these channels to get dates, the second I procrastinate on that is not just absence of action. That has a negative momentum in and of itself. You know, you've been trying to go to the gym for 3 or 4 years. You've been trying to get whatever other area in your life sorted out. Maybe it's dating and relationships, and you've been procrastinating. That has a momentum in and of itself, because procrastinating comes with certain thoughts. Oh, I really should, but then again. And then your mind comes up with a bunch of different excuses. Now, if you've done that process several times of, oh, I think I really should, but then coming up with excuses, that's almost an automated process in your conscious or unconscious mind. It's automated, right? So you could keep telling yourself, oh, I got to do it someday, I got to do it someday. But if you don't make a real decision and break that process of procrastination, you're going to keep doing it. And the danger for somebody like yourself, if you're a successful man with a career or business that's going well, the real danger is not that you're going to be alone forever, right? I'm not here to tell you, if you don't get this whole thing figured out, you're going to be alone for the rest of your life. That's not going to happen, realistically. But what's going to happen is, you're going to end up with somebody who's wrong for you. You're going to settle for being with somebody. You're going to settle for being with somebody because we all have a deep psychological need for love and connection. And we're going to find a way to meet that need, even if it's with somebody whose personality is absolutely not aligned with ours. So, yes, get a plan, get coaches, apply for a first free coaching call with the link underneath this profile, and we'll sit down and we'll create a plan for you based on your individual situation, how you're going to be able to find someone like that. But you also have to make a decision. You have to start taking action. Taking action can mean contacting someone like me. It can mean trying to figure it out yourself. Now, maybe you will, it might take you 5 or 10 years to figure that whole thing out. Question is, do you really want to waste that time? But independently of whether you hire me as someone, or you get outside help, or you want to figure it out yourself, please take action. Get out there, because it is so inherently satisfying to meet people, to get rejections, to not lose enthusiasm, to figure online dating out. Once you start making progress in that area, it's inherently rewarding. Remember, progress equals happiness. Whatever area in your life you're trying to figure out, whatever goal you have in your life, you don't have to have that end goal achieved for you to feel good about yourself. You just have to realize you're making progress towards that goal. Progress equals happiness. Download the dating apps, get the premium versions of it, understand the algorithm, learn how to text, get more dates with the right kind of women. Figure out how to communicate your personality authentically and effectively on those dates. And as you're going to be making progress, you're going to feel alive. It's the same in fitness, right? I gained 12 kilos over lockdown. I got extraordinarily fat. I've never been that fat in my life. Well, I can blame it on the fact that the gyms were closed, and James Clear in his book Atomic Habits would probably agree that success is much more systematic than short-term willpower based. But still, I didn't have to eat the 2 chocolate bars I ate every single day, right? And then as I started losing weight and I started watching the belly get thinner and thinner and thinner, I watched my legs get thinner, and I was actually able to see my man boobs disappear. That was nice. Fernanda's smiling. But I didn't have to have achieved this ultimate... I'll show you what's my screensaver at the moment. Look at this. Let's see if I can show you this, because I got some gym motivation right here. Let's see if you can see that. Okay, you're not going to be able to see it fully, but I'm not sure if you can see that. But basically, there's quite a muscular dude in the background of my phone. That's gym motivation. I'm personally not gay. No problem with being gay. I have lots of friends who are gay. But if people see that, they question which side of the aisle I'm on. Anyway, besides the point, that is gym motivation. I don't have to be there. I don't have to look like this guy who probably goes to the gym 6 times a week, but it orients my selective focus to where I want to go. And the second I see I'm making progress, I feel alive. Progress equals happiness. That's super important. So you just got to start taking action, even just to create that momentum in yourself. Point number 3, you want someone who's as intelligent or who's intelligent as well as physically attractive. If you're a man who's intelligent, then you're not going to be satisfied with a woman who's really beautiful, but as dumb as a toast. That's not going to satisfy you. You're going to need mental stimulation. You're going to want to share beautiful moments with. If you drive through the country, you're going to do a holiday trip with her. You don't just want to have amazing sex. Amazing sex is amazing, and it's always going to be amazing. But that's not enough for you. You want somebody, except for the personality, which is huge, that you have a personality that is compatible. She also has to be smart. And you've realized in your past that you can either get girls or women that are really attractive, but not as smart, or they're quite intelligent, but I'm not that physically attracted to her. And then maybe you had a conversation with yourself. You said, maybe I'm just being superficial. Maybe I should just pick somebody who has a great personality and who's intelligent, and yeah, looks are secondary, because I'm not a superficial fuckboy, am I? Well, I'd like to encourage you to aim for all three: looks, personality, and intelligence. If you learn to communicate your personality authentically and effectively, and you understand how to get more dates with the right kind of women using online as well as offline methods, you will find somebody that you find very, very physically attractive, somebody with whom you can have amazing sex, somebody who's mentally stimulating just because that person was born with a high IQ and is educated, and you actually have matching personalities. Now, is it going to be perfect? No, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be 10 out of 10 personality, 10 out of 10 intelligence, 10 out of 10 looks. But god damn it, you can get a 9 out of 10 on every single one of them. It is possible. Don't settle. Don't settle, because if you do, you're going to wake up 5 years from now and you're going to hate your life. Or you don't even know what's wrong. Oh, I don't feel that great. I feel a little depressed, feel a little unhappy. Well, look at the people you spend your life with. Look at the woman who's in your life. Tony Robbins says it. If you're not happy in your intimate relationship, you're not happy. I've worked with men who are founders of tech companies, people who are in various different positions in tech companies, who were monetarily quite successful in terms of their career or their business, but not having that special person that you can share your success with, it's almost worthless. It's almost worthless. Now, obviously, it's not worthless. It's amazing, because if you have a great business, then you're contributing something to society. If you have a job and you're really good at your job in that company, then you're contributing massively to the success of that company. So obviously it wasn't worthless, but to you, it feels almost a little bit empty, because you close your laptop after a whole day of working from home just to find the house or the living room completely empty. You want somebody that you can share these special moments with. It is possible. Don't settle. A little bit dramatic. Point number 4. You're trained to look for what's wrong. In addition to being logical and structured in your thinking, you also, let's say you're a computer scientist, right? You're actually paid to find the flaw in a piece of code. If you're a business owner, you're putting out fires the whole time. As Elon Musk says, if you own a business or if you're in a managerial position in a company, it almost makes no sense for you to focus on what's going well. Because if it's going well, then that's great. No need to pay further attention to that. It pays to focus on the things that are going wrong. And so you've trained your selective focus, your patterns of focus are such that you always look for the negative. So, and there's two things, right? Our brain does that automatically, because our brain always only ever evaluates all the stimuli that are flooding into our head on a daily basis into categories: opportunity and threat. And threats, the negatives, they have a much higher degree of importance for our mind, because a threat can kill us. A threat is going to be much worse than an opportunity is going to be good, because the end consequence of a threat is death. So that has to be avoided at all costs. How good can an opportunity really be? You know? So the bad thing can be much worse than the good thing can be good. That's why our brain automatically looks for the negative if we don't train our selective focus to look for the positive every single day. There's many, many different ways, many different strategies that I teach my clients. There's affirmations, incantations, all kinds of techniques, right, that you can use to do that. But you have to let go of this desire, or this unconscious habit at this stage, to focus on the negative. Leave it within that context. Within the context of your professional life, you keep focusing on the negative 80%, 20% on the positive. That's great. In your social life, you have to have a delusionally positive inner self dialogue. You have to roll in there and say, there is no competition. Somebody asked me on my Instagram the other day, David, how can you be chill if Fernanda dances really sensual with other guys? And I said, first of all, she doesn't dance really sensual with other guys. Well, but second of all, bachata is a sensual dance, but I just don't have that fear. I just don't have this fear of, what if she leaves me? Well, if she decides to do that, that's fine. She can do that. But I know there's no competition. Are you going to compete? Who's going to compete with me? Now, is that objectively true? No, that's utter nonsense, right? It's quite narcissistic, right? It's delusional. It's God complex. You can label it in all kind of sick ways. Do I fully believe the thought? No, but I allow myself to believe the thought within the context of dating because it has utility. Now, there's people like Sam Harris or Ben Shapiro who more so Sam Harris or other atheists, And I'm not for or against religion, that's not what this is about. I have plenty of clients who are religious, all kinds of religions, plenty of clients who are not religious. I'm super respectful towards it. Now I'm just one point. There's plenty of atheists who make the argument that believing in something on bad faith at a macro level is going to have really bad consequences, or really bad consequences, a third time, for society. And it's quite elaborative, right? Sam Harris can explain that a lot better than I can. But I still think that on an individual level, believing in something, even if the evidence isn't clear, right? Even if the evidence may be against it with this particular belief, right? There's no competition, is useful. There are certain thoughts that are just useful to have as an individual. And remember, I'm not teaching macro, I'm teaching micro. I'm teaching individuals. And on an individual level, you as a successful man have to become much more aware of the value that you're contributing to her life. That's one of the biggest things I help my clients with. They constantly come to me and say, watch all the testimonial videos on my website, by the way. And they're almost exclusively, they all say, David, wow, through the conversations with you, be it in a group coaching format or in a one-on-one, I realized the value I'm able to offer to her. I never looked at it like that. And it just grounds them in their own sense of identity. Become aware of that. And then you allow yourself to form a belief, something like that. There's no competition. So if she leaves you, who gives a shit? Just going to replace it. You know, it's her. You're just going to replace her. Now she's probably not going to do that, right? Because if you're a logical and structured man, you have to understand you're probably successful. And she's going to appreciate the discipline. The right woman is going to tell you, wow, I'm impressed with your productivity. They will tell you these things. But they also want fun, spontaneity. You need to learn how to build attraction. These things are super important because otherwise you're just showing her this one side of who you are. And that's great. Being able to get shit done, being masculine, that is amazing. That's what's been separating you from 90% of society. But she also wants to feel emotion. She wants to feel attracted to you. You need to understand that. And if you want to learn how to do that in depth, if you want to learn how you can find the right girlfriend or life partner, if you want to learn how you can get women emotionally attracted to you while still being yourself, then apply for a first free coaching call with the link underneath this video. And we're going to sit down and we're going to create a plan for you based on your individual situation. And I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you. Take good care of yourself.